Quick disclaimer, this recap is done in a timeline manner, not the way it was presented to us in the story. Alright, let's go! We start the story off with our main character's father, who I'm going to refer to as John A.
I understood that reference.
After 20 years of searching for a shipwreck called the Royal Merchant, he finds it with minimal help from this guy by the name of Mr. Ward. Now, Mr. Ward wanted to split the treasure 50-50, but John A wasn't going like that because he did all the work. The two get in a fight and John A bangs his head, losing consciousness. Now, the clown called Mr. Ward assumes that John A is already dead without even checking a pulse, so he dumps his body into the ocean and sank his boat. And since John A wasn't dead, he drifts to a deserted island where he carves a message on his compass for his son John B to find. Several months later, Mr. Ward hires this guy by the name of Scooter to find the treasure, but he instead finds John A's body with the compass. On his way back to report it to Mr. Ward, he dies in a tropical storm, and his boat sank. Which brings us finally to the story of the Kooks versus the Pogues. The Kooks are basically the people that are rich in the Outer Banks, and the Pogues are limited to John B and his friends, who are the following. There's Kiara, whose family is actually well off, but she likes the Pogues. There's Pope, who's the smart one in the group, and JJ, the dumb one in the group. And on the rich side of town, you have Sarah and Rafe, who are children of Mr. Ward, and this love-obsessed guy by the name of Topper, who's dating Sarah. Anyways, John B and his friends find John A's compass from Scooter's shipwreck. Following the message left behind on the compass, they realize that John A wants them to find the gold that was left behind on the shipwreck. After searching for the gold and being unable to find it, John B realizes that the gold was hidden on land and not at the bottom of the sea. He then uses Sarah's help to find the gold, but while using Sarah, he falls in love with her and they start dating. Sarah then breaks up with Topper, but Topper, not taking the breakup so well, pushes John B off a balcony, but he somehow only broke his wrist, so he's good. Meanwhile, Sarah's brother Rafe, who got into a lot of debt with a drug dealer by the name of Barry, gets disowned and kicked out the house because of his incompetence. While overhearing John B about the gold that he found with Sarah, Mr. Ward tried to offer John B a deal to go about 50-50 on the gold, and John B, like John A, said no. So Mr. Ward tried to kill John B, but John B escaped after finding out that Mr. Ward killed his father. Mr. Ward then goes and liberates John B and his gang from the gold that they found, and decides to run away with the gold and Sarah to the Bahamas, after claiming that John B assaulted him. But with Pope and the gang's help, John B finds out that Mr. Ward was planning to leave and stops him. That's when the local sheriff by the name of Sheriff Peterkins comes in to arrest Mr. Ward for the murder of John A. Fortunately for her, Rafe, who's desperate for his father's approval, shoots and kills her. Mr. Ward then takes that chance to frame John B for the murder of the sheriff, and also flies the gold to the Bahamas. With the discount FBI in town and a manhunt for John B, he somehow convinces Topper that he's not the one who murdered Sheriff Peterkins. But with the help of his friends, he decides to flee the Outer Banks with Sarah. But while attempting to flee, they get driven into a tropical storm, and their boat gets capsized. Everybody on the Outer Banks then assume that Sarah and John B are dead. They're actually rescued by a boat going to the Bahamas, where the gold is located. And yeah, that's it. If you enjoyed that video and want to see more like it, leave a like and subscribe. Adios.